Hi, this is Baratus, and this induction is from page 104 in the Handbook of Hypnotic Inductions. It's called the Mystifying Induction. Make yourself comfortable, relax, and enjoy. If a client says, "No, I'm not interested in hypnosis," then we would probably not expend any more energy in that direction. However, if the client says, "I want to go into trance, but I just can't," we have a number of options available. The uninterested client is an example of conscious resistance, while the second client characterizes unconscious resistance. A two-operator induction may be the quickest route to counter unconscious resistance. However, if you don't have the luxury of a second therapist, this induction may be precisely what you need. Many colleagues have used this induction, and they have told us it seems to be so bewildering that clients invariably escape into trance. This induction was developed for a young man with Ritus syndrome, a painful and debilitating form of arthritis. The client badly wanted to go into trance, and he said, "Something is holding me back. I don't know what." Since then, it's been used with less resistant clients, as with all inductions. You are told ahead of time what to expect. Then you understand that these strange and seemingly incomprehensible things that are being said are for your benefit. In other words, I may say that I'm going to read you something called the Mystifying Induction. A story within a story, or an induction within an induction, is a handy device for bypassing a fixed conscious set. Notice the suggestion of hypnotic phenomena example. The emphasis on idiosensory feeling is similar to other inductions, but here, overload and confusion are the means of delivery. I have a hard time remembering this one, so I invariably read it. Before starting, the client is instructed to pick out a spot to look at and keep looking at that spot while I read the induction. They are also told you may close your eyes at any time along the measure of the restraint. You may go into trance at any time or simply just listen to the following. So make sure you're in a nice, comfortable position and get ready to be hypnotized. I want to tell you about a rather strange and bewildering experience one of our therapists had as they went about inducing trance in a person in whom it was rather difficult to distinguish what is happening inside them. Accordingly, the therapist resorted to juxtaposing and mixing up various opposite phenomena in order to induce the desired state. All this might not make sense to you right now, but by the time we're done, you may definitely feel your own way or a sense in your body the meaning of what follows. You know how it is when you're glad to do something. Looking back on the experience, maybe appreciating it with the perspective of time or distance. Well, we're glad that we tape recorded that exact words on the day which I will read verbatim to you now. Bob. His name was Bob. I know you and many others know that you and I, most everybody else's right hand, in the left hand, a left foot, no, right foot, a right ear, and left a conscious mind, as well as an unconscious mind. With all those things, we have many experiences, and even way back there, when we learned to count 1, 2, 3, perhaps experiencing a certain feeling of sensation on one side as opposed to the other, maybe both at the same time. Now Bob, one time I was working with a man who insists on being called by his last name, which was Inskep, a rather uncommon name. I said, "Inskep, right now I would like you to imagine, just imagine without any conscious effort, a tingling in your left hand for just a moment, and then imagine that tingling in your right hand. That's the way, Inskep. Don't do it. Just imagine it, and now we're going to speed it up. A little bit quick now. Imagine the tingling in your left earlobe, and then the same thing in your right earlobe, and then the numbness or tingling in the left third of of your right hand and a tingling or numbness in the right third of your left hand. Autonomy, independence out there. That's right. I know this all may sound confusing, but just keep on like you're doing no conscious effort is required at all, and whatever you feel in any of your extremities is just fine, and pay careful attention with your mind. Inskep was sitting in a chair just like that, Bob, and he told me that as we talked about his hands, he was having a difficult time curling up his toes inside his shoes. Interesting as that might sound or feel, we continued then, Inskep, hot and cold, and many temperatures in between, 80 degrees, 30 degrees, 75 degrees, 43 degrees, and no one needs a master's degree to feel any of those things. People can develop a light transfer, medium transfer, a deep chance, whatever their unconscious mind desires. Even though sometimes the conscious mind might try to interpose something different, just imagine, Inskep, just imagine for a moment a lightness in most of your right hand and a heaviness down from there in the bottom part of your left foot. Right hand, left foot, most of up here and bottom part down there, very good. And then a heaviness in the third of your left hand and the lightness in your right foot, not all of your left foot, but just in the meaningful part of the lightness, heaviness, up there, down there, not all of it, just a part of it, doing fine. Just imagining and knowing that strength means stronger mind. They can't possibly not ever resist not drifting off, Inskep. Going inside a person can pay attention to outside things at the same time without even trying independently. Just imagine things at the same time without even trying. Imagine a heavy rubber glove on one hand and a soft warm mitten on the other, either the left or the right. Imagining reaching down and touching a part of your foot with a synonymous or tingling on the other hand. Imagine a heavy wooden sock on one foot, perhaps the left or the right, and reaching down to that foot, there to touch one of those hands that has developed a particular warmth or coldness, maybe a tingling warmth or a numbness coldness, or either, or maybe both. Someone said to me once that extremities have a deep meaning, and I know that not knowing, forgetting, or partially realizing in a light or medium way out there is something that also provides something worth noticing. And where that happens in your body is just fine. But Inskep, I personally have no authority to permit your mind to drift or concentrate on your body. Bob has been paying close attention, and by now had experienced many things in his extremities. He had also noticed his breathing had changed almost imperceivably. He told me later that his experience was not unlike something he remembered when he was very young, filling up a plastic bucket on the beach. In the bucket, very quickly filled with the sand and overflowed, while the hole in the ground was filled with water. And the more he dug, both the bucket and the hole overflowed, and he learned from the experience was forever. And after he met someone named Doug, he felt almost overloaded, whatever that means. Bob also had a teacher in junior high's last name was Duggan, Mr. Duggan. Would you catch him daydreaming, but there in the back row, and say to him, drift off to your own time, Bob, not mine. Inskep, I continue. Just imagine my voice is out there along with your extremities. We'll go on a bit faster now because we're new in the end, and paying close attention now to both your outside and inside might take on an even more curious aspect. Your consciousness might just have fun inwardly. Just imagine, Inskep. The falling person's third left of his right ear cannot develop a very distinct feeling, while at the same time the lower part of his left ear can detect the opposite feeling. Perhaps alternatively, maybe together, always listening, while at the same time he listens inwardly with his third ear. And you know what that is, and all the while that is going on with those ears, you can imagine yourself a left, right, up, down amusement with all those hands and feet, while that other person's ears, all three of them, operate independently on their own, warm hand bottom third or right half of the other cold, and the opposite foot numb, or a tingling, alternatively third eye, yes, rest if it no, or heaviness in one of the most parts of the hand that is different from the likeness already present, in some degree developing in the other hand or the opposite foot, that cannot be taking on its own feeling, independence, autonomy, development. That's the way you're doing just fine. Now listen closely as I count down from 10 to 1, and all those numbers descend down, down, one at a time. You can imagine yourself sinking a bit deeper and deeper into hopefully no more than a light state of trance, counting down now 10, 9, 8. When he was small, he blew up a balloon, was green or blue one, I forgot. Anyway, after blowing it up, he stuck his finger into the side of him and wiggled it around. To this day, he wonders if his finger was inside or outside of that balloon. You can do it. 7, 6. The other night I reached for the light switch. It wasn't there, and you can do it. 5, 4, 3. They were selling Mexican blankets alongside the road for only $2.50 each, and you can do it. 2 and 1. Sleep. Now, in a moment, I'm going to count up from 1 to 5. When I reach number 5, you'll be wide awake, alert, refreshed, and energized, remembering every single part of that experience with 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 wide awake. I hope you enjoyed that. This was the Mystifying Induction. I know it's a little bit weird, but it's definitely an interesting experience. So until next time, this is Master Boratus. Be good.